All right, we're live. Say hello.
How you doing, everybody?
Oh, I almost tripped. George, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. All right, so I told you I come out with a lot of energy. Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Alex Vidal. I am president of Related ISG International Realty and host of the show you're watching today, episode number 62 of the Closer Club, with somebody who I have admired for many, many years. So, 62 episodes. I've only gotten nervous in the first few to like now. This is the first one I've been nervous in a long time. So let me introduce the guy that's to my right. His name is George Hincapie. He is one of the best cyclists in the world ever. I have my notes, but I'm going to try to do it without my notes. He's competed in 17 Tour de France's, and if you've ever looked up the Tour de France, it is the most grueling bicycle race in the history of the sport. He's a 5-time Olympian. He's won the Tour de France 7 times as part of the team. He's an author. He's the owner of a bike team. So you can tell I'm nervous. I don't care. Owner of a bike team, owner of a clothing line, also owner of a Hotel Domestique. Is that in South Carolina as well?
South Carolina, yes.
There you go. And this guy is going to talk to us today about what it is to handle the pressure, how to handle the highs, how to handle the lows, what it is to be on a team. But before we get into that, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about your background?
So, like Alex said, I've raised pretty much my whole life. I'm from New York. I live in South Carolina now. My dad got my brother and I into cycling. It was a family sport for me, so basically didn't have a choice growing up. It was bike or nothing. And slowly started falling in love with the sport as I got successes early on as a junior, and made my first Olympic team at 18 years old, turned pro right after that, and then the rest is sort of history, so to speak.
So looking back now, so I think you're 45, right?
46.
46.
Just turned 46.
Just turned 46.
Yeah.
I'm 41. You got into the Olympics at 18. What was that breakthrough moment? I mean, because it's not like you just made the Olympics. Obviously, you put a lot of hours on the bike and the saddle. What was that breakthrough moment that really took your career off?
So actually, as a junior, I won pretty much everything I entered. Did really well at the World Championships. Was one of the best cyclists, senior cyclists, as an 18-year-old in the country. Made the Olympic team at a really young age, and then got the Olympics and got crushed.
Yeah.
Like we were basically third to last place in our event, and that was a pretty important experience for me because I realized, like, hey, everybody at this level is super talented. Everybody is really good. The differences are how hard you're going to work and how much you're going to dedicate yourself to sport. So that ended up being a really good experience for me, getting my butt kicked in Barcelona, and learning that I needed to really focus. I needed to sacrifice my whole life if I wanted to make it to the top level.
Yeah, it's interesting. My wife and I were just talking to our son, my 12-year-old who's in Alabama, and essentially what they're doing is they're playing a game, getting scouted, and then they're making pools of the southern states. And twice he's already been, in a game where he didn't get picked to the pool, and he's upset. And we're kind of talking to him about, hey, you got to take the lumps, and eventually you'll get there.
Absolutely, those become learning experiences. Makes you more motivated. And makes you want to work harder.
Sure. Now, looking back, you've had spectacular wins, spectacular losses. You've had many highs, many lows. Mentally, because our audience is primarily realtors.
Yeah.
That's what I do. That's my business, right? And in talking with these people, they go through a lot of stresses. They're commission-based. They're dealing with deals that can make their year, make their careers, make their lives. So a lot of pressure involved. We'll get to that in a minute. But deals fall through. They close them. Yeah. How did you handling the highs and the wins and handling those big lows as well?
Well, I was fortunate early on that I had a lot of good mentorship in my career. And one of the things that buddy, actually Lance told me, like I'm sure he heard it from somebody else, was that just don't get too excited when you win. Just don't get too depressed when you lose, and just try to keep that middle ground. Because if you're not able to handle the highs and lows, then you're not going to be around for a long time. So I learned that really early on, and I kind of stuck with it throughout my career.
Sure. Now, you said mentors.
Yeah.
I have a lot of mentors in my life, fortunately. How important, this is not on the questions we talked about, how important were your mentors along the way?
Super important. I mean, anything from my dad to my brother, and then my older teammates. When I turned pro, I had some of the best cyclists in the world that I hit it off with that were on my team: Sean Yates, Steve Bauer, Phil Anderson. So for me, it was always about learning. And as I became older and more experienced, I really was passionate about trying to help younger riders. And I know how difficult it is when you move to a different country. You don't know the language, you don't know the culture. Your family's all left behind, but you're there for a job. So mentorship was extremely important for me.
Now, by the way, you see me swatting bugs. We are in Aspen shooting live. I happen to be here on vacation and took advantage that George was up here. Now talk about the pressure situations. I mean, you guys throughout your racing career as a single racer and on a team had some like high stake races going on or high stake days within the Tour de France.
Yeah.
How did you handle that pressure? Because I mean, it was big.
Yeah, it was big. I mean, I kind of embraced it. I never took my position for granted, and I really enjoyed that that position that I was in. And I knew that, like, hey, if I didn't prepare for the races that I was at, let me back up. Showing up to a race not prepared and suffering throughout a race and not being able to contribute to my team was way worse than working your ass off, getting to a race, knowing that you're ready and being able to help your team. So I just never wanted that option. I never wanted to show up unprepared and not be a major part of my team. So when I was at a race, even though there was a lot of pressure, I knew that I was prepared and that I had worked hard and that I was ready to go.
Got it. So you actually handled the pressure before the day even arrived.
Absolutely. I knew that I had to work harder before the actual event so I can get there in the event. And I knew that I had done everything I could to be ready for it.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great piece of advice. Talking about a team, there's a lot of realtors that are a part of the team. That's kind of the big model that's going on in our industry now.
Yeah.
You're a part of obviously one of the most successful teams in any sport, regardless of whether it's cycling or not. Looking back, what are some tips you can give the viewers about working on a team?
So for me, my whole career is centered around my role in teams, and it's super important, even now, very relevant in what I'm trying to achieve in my business life. I mean, I know the things that I can't do, and I know that the people that are smarter than me in different facets of our businesses, and I really rely on that. And you have to have a lot of trust, and you have to have, a lot of expectations from your teammates that they're going to give you as much hard work as you're giving them. But like you said, the team is everything, and it can make or break an organization or a sports team as well.
Now, last question, and then we can all go to lunch. Looking back, not looking back. I'm doing this all. Usually I have a question and answer.
Yeah.
Book, podcast, or TED Talk recommendation. You may have all three, so go for it.
Oh, book. Oh, God, I love the Agassiz book.
Okay.
I've always been a fan of tennis, but I never quite realized. I've always used to watch tennis and go, man, these guys have it easy. They don't play in the rain. They don't play in the cold. They get breaks in between points. But now I actually play tennis, and I love it, and it's just so mentally and physically demanding. And these guys will play 5-hour matches. It's just as hard or even harder than cycling. But if you read Agassiz's book, you just see how his whole life as a child was about tennis. So he missed a lot of the fun stuff that our kids are experiencing now. But unfortunately, if you want to make it to the top of the game, that's many times what it takes as a child growing up is to really focus your whole life on that. So that book just really resonated for me personally because I went through a lot of the similar experiences as he did. Podcast, listen to my podcast, The Move with Lance Armstrong. We're talking about the Tour de France every day, and it's been fun. A lot of people always criticize Lance and I for many things, but for this one particular thing was that our personalities in interviews just never really came through. But our podcast now, it's like the way we talk to each other in the bus. It's like we give each other shit all the time.
Go for it. I curse all the time. All the time.
It's what our true personalities are like. It's like what our dynamics were like in the bus, and not in front of the press. But now anybody can experience it.
Yeah. It would have been cool to have a podcast back then.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
So, and what about your book? You have an amazing book.
Yeah, I have a book called The Loyal Lieutenant. It's about my career. It's about all the good stuff, the bad stuff. I mean, obviously everybody knows the scandal we went through, and I wrote it because I want my kids to read it one day and understand what I went through and the decisions that I had to make. Some of the decisions that I'm obviously not proud of, but at the time I didn't think there was any other choice. So it's something that I want them to see what I went through, and I know I'm confident that if one of them wants to become a cyclist today, that they will never have to make that decision that I did.
Well, George, I can tell you not only myself, but my buddy Yair, my brother-in-law Dirk Peterson, my buddy Mark Kerr, they were all looking forward to this interview. What I found most important about this is I cannot wait to text this link to my son who's in Alabama right now, so he can hear because he's missing our family trip for his sport.
That he's working hard. Keep at it.
Yes, George. Thank you so much, man. True pleasure.
My pleasure.
True pleasure. All right, any parting words before we go?
No. Looking forward to watching more of your Closers podcasts.
There you go.